Hey everyone, thanks for joining. We're just going to give it a few more minutes to allow people to trickle in and get set and going here. So hang tight and we'll start shortly. Just going to say it again for people just joining. We're giving it a few more, like maybe like another minute or so, then we'll start. We're just allowing everyone to trickle in here. All right, we'll start things off here. Hey everyone, my name is Patrick Prendergast. I'm the digital marketing coordinator here at Yamaha Unified Communications. We're so excited to have you all here today for our next Wednesday Waves webinar going over budget-friendly elevated audio. Yamaha's wireless microphones can process themselves. I'd like to make you aware that this webinar will be recorded and uploaded to YouTube at the end of the presentation. Additionally, there is a Q&A function at the bottom of your Zoom screen. We'll be monitoring this and we'll hold answering questions at the end. With that, I'm thrilled to introduce to you our field systems engineer, Jason Pavao.
Thank you, Patrick. Great voice for webinars, by the way. If I've never told you that, I'm telling you it now. Thank you, everybody, for joining my budget-friendly elevated audio, speaking specifically on Yamaha's wireless microphones that can process themselves. Please save all your applause and questions to the end. It gets very distracting for me. So, wireless. Why wireless? Well, it lends itself to many spaces. Currently, what you're looking at is the headquarters of Yamaha Japan. This is in Hamamatsu. And you can see in a typical conference, in a typical building actually, the amount of spaces where wireless really does lend itself to its usability. Multi-purpose rooms, classrooms, auditoriums, conference rooms, boardrooms, even an executive office. The lack of wires, for lack of a better term, gives you that flexibility in any of these spaces. And as a personal caveat, I have never been to this headquarters, so if anyone on the chat has a hookup to get to Japan, I'm happy to take any tips. The RMW is the latest offering within the Adesia solution that Yamaha provides. And I like to talk about Adesia as a way to democratize audio. The simplicity of this system allows IT teams to become audio engineers to manage and support their conference rooms. For me, I kind of equate this to how IT teams had to become telephony experts when voice over IP became prevalent. When we first launched the Adesia line, the tagline was always AV meets IT. It's two distinct sciences having to now work together. And I think we're all very familiar with these technologies, but the ability to manage and maintain them presents a bit of a knowledge gap. So what the Adesia does is we assist in that knowledge transfer. We do all the heavy lifting within Yamaha by routing your Dante audio and tuning the system within the Adesia ecosystem. All of our mics will have their own DSP, and they can be tuned within minutes via our web-based setup wizard. This was deliberate. Yamaha specifically chose this methodology to create a sense of familiarity with IT teams. Obviously, there is a huge gap where your strength and your core discipline is in IT. To then have this kind of placed on your plate because it is now web-based provided a certain challenge. So Yamaha had the right timing and the right product to present Adesia. And these are currently the solutions we offer within the full Adesia ecosystem. The line is very robust. All the mics have their advantages based on the use case. But today, what we'll be really focusing on is the wireless microphones, the charging tray, as well as the wireless access point, which is a little bit more than an access point. And let's get through it. So we'll have 4 different microphones that we can discuss. The access point will come in an 8 or a 16 channel flavor, and the charger itself does have a sense of intelligence that allows the other two components, the mics and the access point, to communicate with each other and update over the air. So one of the key things that the wireless system operates on is obviously wirelessness. And how do we do that? What are we doing to create that wireless environment? And what we're doing is DECT. For those unfamiliar with the term DECT, it's DECT. It is in the 1.9 gigahertz frequency range, typically used by cordless phones back in the day. I certainly remember a time when my grandmother used them increasingly in inappropriate places, like taking them to McDonald's because she was expecting a phone call. But that's to say that this frequency range should not be occupied by much at this point in the game, since everyone's pretty much using cell phones or cloud-based codecs like Teams and Zoom. Using this DECT technology, though, you can have multi-level modulation. You can have increased data density, which will improve the audio quality. And using 256-bit encryption, the security constraints are not something you need to be concerned about. This being a Dante system as well, there are some advantages. Typically, when dealing with DECT and multiple receivers sending out RF, you have to be aware of each other, or else you run the risk of occupying the same frequency range and running into the same channels. To defeat this, we didn't develop it, but there is a methodology called busing, or in this instance, network-based synchronization. What this allows you to do is have multiple access points, one designated as the leader and everything subsequent to it be the follower. This allows them to time off of themselves and then increase your mic density without running the risk of any audio dropouts, because now you've increased the ability for the frequency range to be aware of each other. So each of those access points that are synchronized together will no longer run the risk of occupying the same channels and then having any of those audio dropouts that typically occur with wireless microphones. Let's talk about the mics ourselves. So currently, Yamaha's Adesia, the RMW solution, has an omnidirectional microphone, a directional, and a 6 and a 12-inch gooseneck. Excuse me, gooseneck. I apologize for the way my voice is currently sounding. I'm in New England in the middle of what feels like an intense heat wave, so it's kicking in on me. I'm sorry. The omnidirectional is typically used for small little round tables for breakout areas. The directional could be used on a larger conference table that could cover up to 2 people at a time, placed in between individuals for that pickup pattern. And then the short and the long gooseneck are obviously 1-to-1, depending on your flavor, what you prefer. The 12-inch was actually designed by Yamaha to fit behind most laptops, so that if you are using our wireless microphones, you no longer have to place it in front of your laptop and obscure your webcam. This is just one of the features and details that Yamaha didn't have to do, but just kind of shows the thought process and usability and the expectation for how our products will be used. And I really do like that. And that actually segues to one of the last things that we'll be talking about on this slide, but just bear that in mind, how thoughtful a product this was when it was made. It's not just audio, which Yamaha has a very proven and earned reputation on, but then the usability beyond that. It's not just function, it's form. And within the RMW, you can mix and match any of the mics that you want. So you could have a full suite of goosenecks or have 2 of each on our 8-channel charger. They're very modern looking, sleek design, unobtrusive 3.6-inch diameter. I was not aware of that, so that's good to hear. And the lithium-ion batteries, after 3.5 hours, are charged for at least 20 hours, if not more. Again, the quality that Yamaha brings to the table is just second to none. I have honestly never seen a battery last that long, and trust me, I use my phone quite often and would love 20 hours of talk time. I already mentioned that the mics will fit into any charger, and now back to the thoughtfulness. The USB-C charging is available on every single one of these microphones. Now, why would you do that? These have long talk time, they're rechargeable, but occasionally, and not often, so please just be aware of this, sometimes people forget to put their mics back on the charger. That does happen. So to defeat this, Yamaha included the USB-C charging port, which allows you to plug it directly into your laptop while you're using it without it being discovered as a microphone. It's merely a power supply point. It's no different than plugging your phone into charge while you're going about your day. Come on. Okay. Apologies. The PowerPoint's kind of tripping me up right now. So now the access point. We've talked about the microphones themselves. They will obviously take any of our speech, but then it has to go somewhere. So the access point is multifaceted. First of all, it comes in either 8 or 16 channels, and the form factor remains the same regardless of the size you choose. It's PoE powered, so for your network switch, you would need a PoE switch. Yamaha makes an excellent one within the Adesia line. It does support Dante. It is a Dante-enabled device. And not only is it your wireless connection to the microphones, but it's also the DSP. And that's what makes Adesia unique to other products in the field. Every one of the microphones within the Adesia line gives you the advantage of doing their own processing internally. Now, when you add the automatic Dante routing and the ability with the Adesia solution to tune, you have a turnkey solution that anybody should be able to be handed off and go off to the races with. But within our DSP, we actually have some interesting functionality. Everything that you would normally expect, acoustic echo cancellation, noise reduction, de-reverberation, sorry, I was about to jump on that one, automatic gain control, and a 6-channel equalizer for every single microphone. Now, what the human voice detection is, and this is a unique technology to Yamaha, specifically for the conferencing division. This is an algorithm that runs within all of the DSPs within the Adesia line. And what it means is, as a microphone, typically mics will send audio to the far end. What we do is we hear all of that audio, but unless it's accompanied by speech, as in someone is speaking in the room, we will not send audio to the far end. Philosophically, Yamaha has always decided that the conferencing division should really imitate as close to a face-to-face conversation that you can have. And to do that, we only want to be able to communicate to the far end when someone's actually talking to them. At no point do we want our mics to be a distraction in any other setting. So human voice detection is something that is developed and unique to Yamaha, and there is a history lesson in there, but we only have so much time, everybody, but that's what we call a tease in the business. Beyond that, though, I've been spending a lot of time talking about the wireless within Adesia. This product can be integrated with, obviously, our CR, the Yamaha MRX7D Dante-enabled DSP, or any third-party DSPs as well, to give you some added functionality that we'll be touching upon shortly. Now, it's a wireless system. Typically, with our ceiling tile mics or our tabletop mics, there are also PoE mics that have to just be plugged into a network switch to be powered on. Wireless is itself an art form in that you are not communicating directly through an Ethernet cable to a switch to route your audio. That is what the access point is doing, but then the actual audio comes from the microphones themselves. So in order to ease the facilitation of this, the access point has a full web UI that walks you through the entire setup. And the very first thing that you see is a spectrum analyzer. Now, previously, I've tried to look at DEX scans, which again, for everybody paying attention, is the frequency that we're using to communicate wirelessly. And I have struggled with them. What Yamaha has done, and again, is a testament to the usability and understanding that the audience for this may not actually be someone who's familiar with this technology, is create the spectrum analyzer that says in very plain readable human English, how many free channels you have and how many are currently occupied. So if you have an 8-channel system and you see 120 free channels, the math is very easy. Once you determine that, you're then able to go in and network your access point to put it to give it timing over NTP. You can then pair to your charger, which will then allow you to automatically pair your microphones. And then towards the end, you'll be able to change the audio routing of your Dante and then see a microphone summary. Hold on one second. I think we have a question already. Okay, got it. Never mind. I was jumping in on the chat stuff. my first webinar. You guys gotta bear with me a little bit. One last thing regarding the spectrum analyzer. This is a new feature within the Adesia line. Prior to our current firmware, it would show you in real time exactly how much interference you did or did not have. Version 2.5 of the RMW and the Adesia allows you to run a 24/7 deck scan. This can be useful in many ways. Off the top of my head, if you have an RFP, if you're about to submit a proposal, you can power up one of our access points in the room that you expect it to be and run this for a full week, be able to export all of that data showing when the interference occurred, if interference occurred, and days that it occurred. This could also be used post-install when you're running into an issue where perhaps someone has introduced new RF that was not present during your RFP. So Yamaha is constantly refining and taking feedback from the field in order to better serve the customers at no charge, FYI. Oh, that leads me to something. So at some point during this, and it may have already occurred, it may not have occurred, you'll see a spelling error. It's deliberate, and I'll tell you why at the end. Guys, the teases, they can't stop coming. I just cannot turn it off. So let me get into it a little bit more. The additional features within the RMW are the latest wireless technology that will ensure the best quality. The setup wizard will allow for easy system setup. I myself can confirm this. My background prior to Yamaha was in telephony. I've now been with the company for 7 years, so I am comfortable calling myself an audio engineer, but at the time, the ability for the technology that Yamaha has developed and then been able to translate for people who are perhaps unfamiliar with this discipline really allows you to adopt it more. So that setup wizard is very, very important. The integrated spectrum analyzer, I just went over that, and I think that personally for me is one of the biggest accomplishments that this product achieved immediately at launch. There's long talk times on the lithium ion batteries. Excellent. Again, I hesitate to say it's over-engineered because I think this is amazing and this is exactly what I would want in a product. I want something I never have to concern myself about. And then the DSP functionality for the wireless access point makes everything so easy because when you're logging into the RMW, you're already in the access point. So it's not just your spectrum analyzer. It's not just your Dante routing. You can then go in and adjust the audio on a per mic level and implement different features depending on the mic and the use case that you're looking for. So it's not an all or nothing. You can really customize this system. The PoE Dante enabled allows for very simple integration. And hey, not to brag, but we're the only Microsoft Teams certified wireless system on the market right now over USB. Now, all of this is existing within the RMW Adesia ecosystem, but there's another feature. Our RMCR provides us 16 channels of Dante in a very easy to set up solution, but 16 channels can be rather limiting in different deployments. Using a third-party DSP, you can now go up to 64 channels of wireless with any Dante-enabled DSP. And that will allow you to use voice lift. So all of the mics within the RMW can be accessed again through the access point. And in there, you can select whichever mic you want or all mics and put them in a low latency mode. This will allow you the ability to have in-room reinforcement. Now, you'll have two audio outputs. So if you're able to have conferencing as well as in-room audio with the ability to mute those channels independently. So the control is still there. You're not given a one or the other solution with regards to that. They also allow, oh, I already said that, and the mute control. Oh, I'm already stepping all over myself. So this feature can only be done with a Yamaha, and I believe that they're an audio company, DSP, or a third-party DSP. Obviously, my preference would be reaching out to Yamaha, so I could help you not just with the wireless, but also with the DSP as well. This defeats the 16-channel limitation that the RMCR provides for you, and then gives you up to 64 channels of wireless, which would then fall back on the network-based synchronization that we discussed earlier. Since the access points can only support a maximum of 16 channels, and we can support 64 different channels in a wireless space, the recommendation is always, if you're going to be having a larger deployment of audio, you really want to limit the amount of hardware you have in the space. Each of these access points is a transmitter in and of itself, and they need at least 4 feet of space between them in order to broadcast properly. So if you get a higher channel density within your access point, you now have fewer chances of overrunning each other with the amount of real estate any room has. Now, we're just about to hit the last slide. I'm going to look at my Q&A if anyone found the spelling error. I don't think, oh, nothing there yet. Okay, so the very first slide spelled wireless with 3 S's. Now, why would I do such a thing? Well, everybody, the last S is for the savings you get when using a Yamaha product. And these are some of the people that we currently work with as well. We're expanding this list at all times, and we play very well with others. Back to you, Patrick.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Jason. Loved the tease at the end. You always
Sure.
love to keep it interesting with us. But yeah, we've had a lot of questions flowing in, and they're still flowing while
Okay.
you're here. So we'll just start from the top. I can actually answer this first one from David. He says, "Will there be a slide deck or some version available when we're done?" We'll be uploading this to YouTube, so you'll be able to see the slide deck in video form at the end of this. So that's how, you'll just have to go to our YouTube channel, just type in Yamaha UC on YouTube, and you'll be able to find this video with all the slides. All right, next, Jason. David says, "Love the USB-C charging feature for the real world situations." You want to expand on that at all?
Yeah, David, it loves you right back. So yeah, I think, listen, it makes a lot of sense. Anytime you have something with batteries, there's always inevitably going to be a time when it runs out. So it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. And philosophically, as I mentioned before, we want to send audio when it's accompanied by speech, but that's only part of it. Yamaha really subscribes to don't introduce a tool unless it solves a problem. And that includes anticipating future problems. At no point do we want our conference system to become the focus of your meeting due to the fact that, oh, it just ran out of power because we forgot to charge it on Friday and now well over 20 hours has gone by. So we're constantly refining and running through use cases that we expect to happen, things that we've run into. We're not really reinventing the wheel at this point. It's really a matter of, well, I've been in a meeting, I've been on a wireless system, the batteries have died. How do we anticipate something like that? And even going back beyond the wireless system, Adesia in general was designed with that in mind. If you look through the RMCR, there are little informationals everywhere, assuming you don't know what you're dealing with, because we're really pushing this towards IT teams with the Adesia smaller solution to manage. So we never want to hamstring ourselves and give ourselves a reason for someone not adopting our product. And I fully expect you'll see a lot more of features like that that are not necessarily in the audio realm, but more in the usability realm moving forward with Yamaha.
Awesome. Yeah, I mean, geez, you nailed it there.
Well, I mean, Pat, you really pretty much said the same thing to me about 10 minutes before this, so I just cribbed it off of you.
Yeah, I don't want to take full credit, but
Oh, you're a humble guy. I love that about you.
All right, David then asks the follow-up. Can you turn off the human voice recognition? Believe it or not, sometimes people might pull out a guitar and sing a song or something, and we like to turn off noise reduction technologies that will chop up music typically.
Unfortunately, no, you cannot. These mics, while being Yamaha mics, were uniquely designed with the audio processing to always have that on as part of our feature set.
Yep, that's fair. Next one. Is it Zoom/Teams certified from Anonymous?
It absolutely is anonymous. It absolutely is. First team certified wireless system for USB on the market.
Perfect. All right.
Possibly only.
Another anonymous asks, does the button I saw at the booth work as a component with the wireless system too?
The button. Now I could be smart and say I don't know what you're talking about, but yes, it will. The button, and we'll briefly touch upon this because I fully expect a webinar to be covering this. The button is a new product that we introduced at Infocom, and it's got a bunch of functionality in it. So from its usability standpoint, it really is just a button, but it is highly programmable. By default, it will mute your system, but you can put in other functionality as well. So this will work with the Adesia line as it's intended. The button does not require our RMCR processor to work, and you can then put third-party control functionality into the button where it could maybe call out, an HDMI switcher or an IP relay to open up a door. But from an audio standpoint, it will provide mute sync with not just the wireless, but all of the mics in the Adesia UC line. And
Yeah,
Anonymous, come on, tell me who you are. We need to know these things, right? We don't have to, we're all friends here. Listen, I'm the one doing the talking.
the yeah, I mean, I can't make any promises, but I mean, that button definitely deserves some sort of webinar because from what I saw, pretty exciting stuff.
Yeah, thanks.
Um, Next anonymous person asks, are you seeing these in higher ed?
I am. Yes. Yes. I had a college in my territory in Nebraska, I think, purchase 120, maybe 130 channels of wireless fairly recently. Higher ed has adopted this with ferocity. They love the deployment. They love the ability to log into it remotely and see the spectrum analysis and all the usability that comes with it. And in addition to that, I did not touch upon this. Typically, if you were to buy, say, a 16-channel system, but have a little bit of foresight saying, I really only need 12 mics at this point, but I want to keep those extra 4 for future growth. I talked a little bit about how the access point allows you to kind of do your Dante routing and pair all the microphones. That's not the only time you can do it. Obviously, if you leave yourself some growth, you want to be able to then pair it up again. Now, that does not mean that we want you to then run through all of this from scratch. That seems a little cumbersome. So in addition to 2.5 allowing not just the spectrum analysis, but the RFP, the ability to run it for 24 hours by 7 days, we've incorporated the ability through our API to map a pairing functionality to the access point. What this does is whatever control system you're comfortable with, you can route that pairing command to a tablet and initiate that. And then every mic on its own hardware has its own pairing button. So all you do is then hold down that button, it will pair to the access point and work perfectly within that ecosystem and fit right on the charger.
Perfect. Next is from Gazoom Mazoom, and they
Oh, I know Gazoom. I really don't.
I
But go
was
on.
gonna say, wow. Hard to forget it with a name like that. How
Yeah.
often do you have to rerun the spectrum analyzer in the case that a neighbor introduces new interference in a city as Miami or New York City?
I would say as needed. So if you've got your system set up and everything's running fine, and then suddenly you're noticing complaints about audio dropouts, I would immediately start that spectrum analyzer and then run it for the full 7 days, because that won't tell you that will tell you more than just that one day, but then you'll actually have a full data set of 7 days by which to compare times and all that. And as far as managing something like that, where it's happening post install, you can then lower the broadcast strength of the access point so that there's no encroachment between the two RF signals. And that's another benefit actually of running that spectrum analyzer post install, especially in a case where you weren't expecting any sort of interference and it just showed up.
Perfect. Next is from Aaron Shoemaker or Schumacher.
I would go
Um,
Maker, Maker. I mean, but
yeah. And Aaron asks, in an application where you want to send out to conferencing and reinforce in the room, does the software walk you through that setup?
No, it does not. So the access point software or the web UI within it is really more about looking at the room that it's currently occupied in, pairing the microphones, talking to the charger, updating the firmware, and then handling the audio on a per mic basis. But for low latency, the RMCR, which is the Adesia processor, does not allow this. So in that instance, this would be more of an integration product, meaning that there would be some design within a traditional Dante DSP or an AES67 DSP. So you would then have to route the audio to go to the far end as well as route it in room. But to enable low latency within the access point, it is just a button toggle within the access point. So hopefully that answers your question, where the ability to get the mics into low latency mode is very easy to do, but then the actual architecture of it will require traditional DSP design.
Awesome. Thank you, Jason. Next, David is back with another question.
Okay.
If low latency is not supported with RMCR and a different DSP is needed, does Yamaha make a different DSP that would be suitable?
That is an excellent question. And spoiler alert, we do. It's called the MRX70. And all of these DSPs are really going to take advantage, whether it's Yamaha or any third-party DSP, the advantage of the Adesia line, whether it be the wireless, the ceiling, or the tabletop, is that we're doing our own audio processing. Now, why is that an advantage when you're using a Yamaha DSP? Well, because we have a DSP within every microphone, you don't need to use existing AEC channels on your third party or Yamaha DSP. Those resources can be allocated to mics that don't process themselves.
Perfect. Thank you. Kyle Van asks, is there any concern about the decked spectrum being relocated?
I'm not quite sure what you mean by that, Kyle. If you can provide a little more detail, then I can jump in. But I don't believe so, is where I'm going right now with that.
Yeah, Kyle, if you want to try and send in another question, just get fleshing that out. Or if not, feel free to reach out via email or socials or whatever, and we'll get Jason involved. You guys can have a one-on-one chat. Anonymous is back, and they
No,
ask,
I can never pick that guy's face out of a crowd.
how many people can the omnidirectional mic pick up? For example, if I have a conference room table with 6 people, how many omnidirectional mics would I need? It's almost like, well, I remembered one of those math equations with if you've got 6 people on a table.
That's all you got, Pat? You're just dropping it right there? Okay.
Yep.
Thanks for that.
Okay.
First of all, this is a very serious thing, so please treat it with the appropriate aplomb that it requires. Follow my example, please. I'm sorry. I know that it's just so very unusual sometimes to just be talking this way, and I hope you can appreciate that I am enjoying myself doing this. This is probably the best part of the job, to be quite honest, but sometimes I am saying, wow, this is an interesting job. So with an omnidirectional mic for 6 people on a longer table, I think 2 would be fine. Typically, I like them on kind of breakout tables, those circular tables, and just because I'm somewhat conservative with regards to audio, I try to limit it to about 4 people. Just consider northeast, west, and south. So with 6 people, 2 omnis should cover that very nicely. But just be aware, being an omnidirectional mic, there really is no control on the audio with regards to where the mics pick that up. It's a full 360. So there would need to be some meeting discipline with regards to that. More appropriately, if you're looking at a table of about 6 people, I would recommend directional mics. I would go maybe 3 directionals that cover 2 people at a time.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
You're so welcome.
All right. We have, looks like 2 more. We got CK jumping in here,
All
and
right.
CK asks, do you have any control on firmware updates, or do they push automatically?
You have absolute control. Our marketing team does an excellent job of notifying our resellers, our distributors, and our customer base of new firmware updates. The RMW being part of the Adesia solution, the initial launch of that was creating a system that is Dante enabled and powered within the room, creating a discrete network that never has to touch the outside world. So that being said, the thought process was we would do announcements regarding firmware updates, and then let you, as the end user, determine whether or not you wanted to upload them. If we did any automatic updates, we'd then have to put in logic as to when they're doing it. We'd never want to push something like that while the room is in use. So yeah, we're doing a great job about notifying about updates, and this is my cue to say, Adesia 2.5 is available, uc.yamaha.com. Please feel free to download it. It's full of fun features.
Good bump there from
Thank
Jason.
you.
Solid. And for look right now, final. Oh, actually, no, we got another. David's back, but before that, Kyle had jumped back in the chat to flesh out his question.
Okay.
And he says, we've seen wireless spectrum relocated in the past due to FCC regulation changes. I'm just wondering if that spectrum is in danger since it's no longer in
I
common
see what
in
you're
the
saying.
home.
No, I am unaware of that spectrum being in danger, and based on the investment that we've put into this product, I don't see that happening anytime soon.
There you go. Short, sweet, and to the point.
Yep.
Um, David has jumped in once again and asked,
My guy, come on, David, keep feeding me.
is there a, is there a contest to win some of these things so we can try them out? I may have missed it.
So, David, let me tell you something right now. That is probably the best question I'm going to get today, and I'll tell you why. Patrick, is there a contest to win some of these things so we can try them out? I may have missed it. I have no idea. This would be a marketing question.
The wireless, unfortunately, no contest currently for the wireless or DSPs or anything like that. Right now, we are running a contest, a free CS800 giveaway if you join this webinar and registered. So be on the lookout for an email from us for that. But as far as any DSP or wireless is being given out, unfortunately, none that I can say right at this very second. But other than that, and we're good. Yeah, I think unless everyone's all set, maybe we'll give it a couple more seconds to see if anyone wants to ask any more questions of Jason. And if not, like I said, reach out on socials, reach out on email, and we can get you in touch. You can talk to the man himself, one on one, mano y mano.
Yeah, that means hand to hand, but okay.
Yeah.
Listen,
Hand to
there
hand.
is no fight club in Yamaha. Stop.
Yeah. Um, it's awesome. Yeah, everyone's saying thank you, Jason. And of course, you did an amazing job. Yeah, before I sign off, Jason, you got any last words for the people and for everyone?
Yeah, all kidding aside, I truly do appreciate that people took time out of their day to listen to me discuss wireless. Please reach out if you have any questions. We are a very agile team and happy to jump on any calls and help people with any sort of deployment. So enjoy your summer. I hope it's cooler where you are than where I am, and I'll see you in the see you at a trade show or something.
Yeah, sounds perfect. And with that, thank you, Jason, and thank you all so much for joining us today. If you have any more questions, please feel free to reach out on socials or email or any platforms that you can find us. You can find more information about these webinars and our products on social and on our website, uc.yamaha.com. Thank you all for joining and have a wonderful afternoon.